Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Roberts,
And I am Emily Rose Summersett.
and we're here to talk about optimizing your mental health as the new wealth. And what we're talking about when we say that is that for high achieving entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, having control over their mind and the ability to use their mind in the way that they see fit is a form of wealth that we haven't focused on in the past as much. And we're here to kind of debunk the myths around what mental health really is and talk about how you can actually use your mental health as a superpower to really uplevel your business and your life.
Yeah, our mental health, it impacts every single area of our life, from the amount of money that we're able to earn and generate, from our relationships that we have with ourselves first and others, with our physical health. It just completely affects and influences and impacts every single area of our life.
Yeah, and if we think about mental health in the traditional definition that most of us think of, we think more of kind of the Western medicine, medical intervention style of mental health. So it's more, if you're depressed, then it's because you have some sort of chemical imbalance in your brain, and what will make you better is to take a little blue pill, and that'll make you happy, and everything will be okay. Or if you're anxious and you're having tons of stress, then the solution is to cut back on caffeine, get better rest, and of course, take a little blue pill. That'll make you feel better. You'll be less anxious. What we're talking about when we talk about mental health is the ability to actually know your mind very intimately and to be able to use it in a way that it was intended to be used. And that's as a superpower. I mean, you really have incredible potential power within your mind. And in fact, our brains use up to 10 times more energy than the rest of our body. And 20% of our total fuel intake is actually required for our brains to function. So if you know that and you know that you're using such high amounts of fuel and energy for your brain to actually work, and then if you know that you have roughly 60 to 90,000 thoughts every day, and that 90% of those thoughts are all repetitive. So it's all the same thought you had the day before, the day before that, the day before that, sometimes for years or decades. If you know that and you're able to instead direct your thoughts so that the 90% that you're wasting on living in the past and all that energy and all that focus and all that power is now focused towards creating a future for yourself that you desire. So, getting really clear on what you desire in your life, getting really clear on where you want your business to go, how you want to feel in your life, the experiences you want to have, the people you want to be surrounded with, the experiences that you want to have with those people, and the places you want to go with them. And when you get really, really clear on that, your thoughts are more directed towards being in the present moment and using that present moment to plan your future, then you're not wasting all of that energy and all that fuel required to run your brain just to think about the past.
Yeah, I mean, how many of you, whenever you go into emergency mode, whatever that stressor is in your life, how much time and energy do you waste in that state of worry? Think about how many hours of sleep that you can lose every single night because you're obsessing over a worst case scenario that will probably never ultimately happen. And so we really focus on supporting our clients. They are busy people. They're CEOs, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs. We really help them begin to learn how to redirect their thoughts from worst case scenario thinking to exactly what it is that they want. Because every thought that we think, it has a corresponding emotion in our body. And our emotions, our thoughts and emotions both have a frequency. And the frequency, just like tuning into a radio station, we're going to match whatever frequency that we're at. So if we're constantly stressed, then we're going to have a certain frequency and we're going to attract
More
similar
stress.
experiences, more reasons to be stressed. But if we're able to, again, become very good stewards of our minds, redirect those thoughts back to what we do want, and then we're going to become a vibrational match for that. So our thoughts, our emotions will send out a frequency that'll match up to other opportunities to, whatever it is that you're wanting to create now in this moment of your life. So
Yeah.
the wealth, the health, the relationships, we become matches to those.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting that so many times, especially some of the clients that we've worked with in the past, they're very used to looking at business in a very three-dimensional way, in a very five senses way, in that there are actions that you take, and those actions give you the results that you want. And when you start talking about energy and vibration and frequency, their eyes tend to glaze over a little bit and they're looking at you like, what sort of mysticism and airy fairy nonsense is this? But if you ask that person to explain to you in great detail, okay, so how does this piece of metal and plastic that you have sitting in front of you somehow record your image and your voice and then send it magically through space so that it now lands somewhere else? They're not going to think that's mysticism, airy fairy nonsense, because they have the computer in front of them and they can see it. It's tangible. But so much of the work that we do really does focus on energy and vibration, because you have to realize, just like your computer can receive a Wi-Fi signal and then send that signal across the world in a matter of milliseconds, so can your energy and your vibration both receive energy and signals, and it can also send out those signals. And we're always tuning ourselves to the frequency of that which we want. So if you're in the frequency of abundance, of gratitude, of joy, then that's what you're attracting into your life. Just like a magnet attracts either opposite or like charges, then that's how we are. We are giant magnets, giant satellite dishes that are both receiving and sending signals all the time. And you've seen it. You can see people that walk into a room and have a high energy. Not just that they're physically active and they're really energetic, but more just their presence is very happy, very uplifting, and you want to be around those people. And you notice when those people are in a room, suddenly all the really happy, smiley people start gathering around them. They want to be around them, they want to be in that energy. Well, the same thing's true for anybody. If you want to attract wealth into your life, if you want to attract more time, more happiness, more joy, more peace of mind, then vibrate at that energetic signal so that you're sending that out, and now you're attracting more of that into your life.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you do that? You think the thoughts that create the positive emotion in your body. If you don't feel good, that means that the thoughts that you're thinking aren't in alignment with what it is that you want. So change the thought, that changes the emotion, and then that changes your frequency and what you're attracting and receiving into your life. And so often we as adults, we're constantly placing our focus on out there. What do I need to do that feels very logical, seems very logical and methodical to create a certain result? Well, the truth of the reality is that we create from the inside out, whether we're aware of it or not. So it's so important that you begin to prioritize taking time, sitting down, being still, self-reflecting, going inward, using meditation, which is excellent for reducing stress, to begin to formulate what is it that I want to create in my life right now? What is the experience that I want to have? And when you go inward and you really just, marinate in that moment, and you begin to get all these amazing ideas, downloads, intuition, new perspectives, so that when you open your eyes, you can begin to take action that's more aligned with what it is you're wanting to create. And of course, it's going to begin to materialize in your external realm. And so, we want the listeners or whoever's viewing this to realize that you need to go inward first to influence your external reality. We want you to move out of that reactionary mode so that you can be more responsive to life. You're able to respond versus knee-jerk reaction to everything that happens in your life. So create that ease, that peace of mind within, especially when it comes to your mental health, so that no matter what life brings you, you're able to meet it with, oh, I've got this. I have this. I can totally see how I can easily navigate this situation, and I can see the truth of it. Anything that's rooted in fear or has a, gives you that fear stress response, it's basically a lie. It's you interpreting it in a way that you just need to shift the way that you're interpreting it and see it as it is, and take the big scary monster face off of it. Illuminate the darkness.
Yeah. Well, and going back to time, like Emily mentioned, I mean, that is really one of the biggest commodities, one of the biggest desires that all people that we work with and so many people that we talk to, that's what's on their mind. They're always saying, well, I don't have time to meditate, because in their mind, they picture meditation as this hour to 2 hour long experience to where they have to lock themselves away in a dark room, burn some incense and play some music and just tune out the world. But the type of meditations that we teach our clients and we try and tell people about are more active than that, and they're much shorter period of time, because you can get the benefits, like intense, amazing benefits from meditation, in a very short period of time if it's directed and you go into it with a purpose, knowing what you're there to do. So it's not about turning your mind off, not having any thoughts. It's more about becoming very present. And you do that through breath and through, if necessary, body movement. So that's part of, meditation is part of the 8-limb path of yoga. Most people, when they hear the word yoga, they think of the postures, but meditation is part of yoga. It's part of that path. And when you think of meditation, don't think of it as this retreat experience to where you're just trying to make your brain stop working. Instead, you're really trying to get intimate with your thoughts, learn exactly what the thoughts are that you have, and be able to recognize those patterns of thought that you have. So if you go into a silent moment, you focus on your breath for a minute, and then you start noticing these thoughts going through your mind, and you do it often enough, you start to realize, oh, I've been thinking that same thought every time I go into meditation. And if I'm doing it during meditation, I'm probably doing it out in the regular world as well. And once you learn to recognize those thoughts, you can then begin to decide whether or not those are the thoughts you want to have. And then if they're not, you can replace them with the thoughts you do want to have. And again, that's all about the practice of meditation, becoming focused, becoming an expert on how to control your thoughts and how to direct them where you want them to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just more about just guiding your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus, trying to force them into something else. And one of the amazing modalities and tools that we use with our clients to gain access to their subconscious mind is Rapid Transformational Therapy, RTT. 5% of our mind is kind of the mind that's out there that allows us to do tasks, to complete tasks, to be effective in the world. But the other 95%, which is the subconscious meaning under the surface, is what ultimately controls our reality. And so if we have beliefs in there that are disempowering, then we're going to say, you know what, I really want to change this habit, but that's fine with your conscious mind. But if your subconscious mind, if you have beliefs in there that say that this is not possible, then no matter how much you try using willpower, you're not going to be able to get a new result. And so obviously meditation is one way that you can go in, slow down your brain waves, take them from the beta to the alpha to theta. Theta is kind of the sweet spot where the subconscious mind opens up. And so you can begin to drop in new suggestions, new belief systems. When we are addicted to a certain thought, and we have this habit of thought that we continually think of, it becomes a belief. And once it becomes a belief, it becomes our truth. So, again, like Scott said, what habits of thought have you been thinking and feeling that corresponding emotion that have been destructive to your life, that are creating stress, that are creating anxiety, that are, making your life not so great? What are those thoughts? Identify them, because once you're aware of them, then you can begin to change them. And again, it's just a practice of like, oh, there's that thought again. I no longer want to think that thought. This is what I want to think instead. And again, good steward of your mind, you guide your thought back to the one that you want. And you want to, again, you want to feel it in your body, because the body is essentially your subconscious. It's been, you think the thought, whether it's positive or negative, what we call positive or negative, we feel that emotion in the body and it gets locked in. And our body it's, it's our physical form. It takes up a lot of energy. So change the thought, you change the emotion, you change your reality and your truth.
Yeah.
And you get to decide. That's the beautiful thing. You can decide new things for yourself any day, anytime you want. But it just takes that practice and the discipline and commitment and making it an obsession just as much as you've been obsessing over the worrisome stuff.
Well, that is some really powerful stuff, and I'm glad that you shared it. And
To do that.
yeah, and I really, there's some really good concepts there about, controlling, your thoughts become reality, and thoughts become habits and whatnot. So that was really great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.